Good morning. Alison Redford may have resigned as Premier and MLA, but her troubles may not be over. This afternoon, Alberta's Auditor General will release his much-anticipated report into government travel. Premier Dave Hancock has already read the report. He wants the RCMP to look at the AG's report and review Redford's travel expenses and use of government aircraft. Alison Redford resigned as the MLA for Calgary Elbow yesterday, 5 months after quitting as Premier.
This has been a good move, or a better move for the party, and also for Alison Redford. It enables her to take a little bit of control back and say, I am leaving, I just want to make very clear what my vision was, and I take responsibility.
All of this talk about Redford's resignation, the RCMP, and now the Auditor General's report is giving the opposition plenty to talk about.
Ms. Redford might make for a convenient scapegoat for the PCs now desperately trying to cling to power. But the fact is, not a single one of them had the guts or the integrity to stand up to her.
It's obvious that the PCs hope this resignation will distract Albertans from the extremely serious issues raised by the Auditor General about the abuse of government aircraft and expense policies.
Liberal leader Raj Sherman calls Redford's resignation both long overdue and a sad ending to a career that once held such promise. He too is calling for the Mounties to get involved in the government plane scandal. An Alberta environment worker is recovering in hospital after being mauled by a cougar near Grand Prairie. The woman was working at a field camp Tuesday night when the big cat pounced in an unprovoked attack. Co-workers managed to fight the cougar off and give the woman first aid before she was transported to hospital by air ambulance. Alberta wildlife officers are now trying to track down the cougar with the help of a dog team. Calgarians continue to rally against the violence in Gaza. Protesters urging our government to help those suffering in Gaza. This as UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says the senseless cycle of suffering must stop. The protesters were wearing what looked like bloodied clothes and holding signs that said, quote, "Nothing to see here, just another dead Palestinian."
As Canadians, we believe in human rights. As Canadians, we believe in peacekeeping. And this government is nowhere near our Canadian values at this point.
A UN report says Israel's nearly month-long offensive against Hamas has had a catastrophic and tragic impact on children in the area. The United Nations has repeatedly warned that Gaza is on the brink of a full-blown crisis and is struggling to cope. The agency says Israeli shelling has destroyed or damaged 142 schools, 89 of which were run by the UN. Meantime, as a 72-hour ceasefire enters its final day, Israeli soldiers man their posts on the Gaza border. New this morning, a senior Hamas official telling supporters the war with Israel won't be over until the group's political demands are met. This as talks continue about making new border arrangements for blockaded Gaza and extending the ceasefire beyond today's 11 p.m. deadline. Hamas demands the blockade be lifted, while Israel insists the Islamic militant group disarm first. Meantime, there's a sanctions war in the works over Western efforts to punish Russia for its interference in Ukraine. Russia has slapped Canada with a ban on farm imports like pork, which makes up the bulk of Canada's farm exports to Russia. Moscow is introducing a one-year ban on food imports that also includes the U.S., the European Union, Australia, and Norway. Russia is also considering banning Western carriers from flying over Russia on flights to and from Asia.